Hey, this is Notser, and this is the Tier 7 British battleship, King George V. So, King George V. It's the Tier 7 British battleship, as I stated. How is she Notser? I think she's great. I've really enjoyed my time with it. It feels a lot like the Scharnhorst, and let's face it, the Scharnhorst is a ridiculously strong Tier 7. Now, in this scenario, I've got HE loaded. Why do you have HE loaded? Well, that's why I have HE loaded. 7100. The British benefit from their HE being 50% of their AP damage, roughly. Whereas with the Germans and the Americans, it's a third of your potential AP damage. Now, for those of you who are familiar with the gameplay, when you overpin with AP, you do 10% of the potential damage. When you penetrate, you do 33% of the potential damage. For the Americans and the Germans, whenever they do overpin, it's basically the exact same damage as their HE shell. So there's really no incentive to switch, unless, of course, there's no way you will even overpin. It's going to be blocked by the armor, angling, and stuff like that. But for the British and the Japanese also have this benefit, but people don't really make use of it. The British have the rate of fire to really feel like you could switch your ammo type, and that is what is necessary for success in King George V. You must be willing to swap to the correct ammo type for every scenario. If you do that, you will have the highest alpha damage, the best rate of fire, you will succeed where others have failed, blah blah blah. You get the idea. And we are on the western flank. This is Trident with Epicenter, and I noticed that this enemy is trying to hide Emerald. I switched to AP because I wished I had it the previous salvo. We didn't. Don't hold any ammo and find a better target this aligns with. Just fire the gun and then switch the ammo you need. Conveniently, he showed his side, and we punished. So, Notser, I've heard that this HE is so good that you shouldn't use anything other than HE. Well, I would say that's a fool's view of the design of the ship, because this AP can do very good broadside damage. 12,000 broadside damage, like we just did to that enemy battleship. Yeah. It is extremely effective with the short fuse. Very few overpins. And that's a key bit of information. Overpin is the enemy of damage. And I would say I think it should be a much tougher enemy of damage. I think overpin honestly does too much damage, but that's a different story. In the British battleships, you will not overpin that much. Not in the levels that you are expecting. Now, obviously, if you hit the superstructures like I just did, there's maybe 20 millimeter of armor protecting them. That's not really enough to stop it from overpinning. But if you're hitting the midship of a battleship and it breaks through, it's not getting out. It's doing 33% damage, and it's really racking up. Now, we get a little lucky there. Obviously, it's a destroyer. We could have used HE, probably killed him faster. If I would have known he would have been there for the time, AP was more than enough for that. You get the idea. You want to fire the ammo that's correct for the moment. An enemy cruiser's coming forward. He's not really showing a lot of side, but he is a cruiser, and he will have to maneuver. So I was like, okay, we're going to get a little bit more side, and we're going to punish him. A friendly has already done that. Someone got a Citadel, knocked out his engine. We just finish him off. Kill secure all the way. I don't really care. It's about winning the game. You play to win the game, and right now both teams are playing. This is a close game. Friendly Fiji right in front of me. We're going to push forward. I was hoping to go after that enemy cruiser that is sitting in the smoke just south of our position. Looks like a Belfast, by the way. And yeah, it sounded like a good strategy whenever I said it in my head at the time. Moving forward, you know, it's a fast ship. I can keep up with the Fiji. He's only a couple knots faster than me. My guns are way more powerful than his guns. I don't care what the rhetoric is. You've got 356mm guns, 10 356mm guns. I don't think you're going to have a short supply of damage output, whether you use HE or AP. So I had AP loaded. I expected either a cruiser or a battleship to show a side. I was not expecting the enemy in the smoke to show. You just have to get close and exploit the fact that they probably don't see me. And since this island conveniently was in my way, I was like, you know what? Well, let's just fire. The concealment could be better. It's not Monarch levels of good, since it doesn't have the concealment module, but it's pretty good. I can use it. I wish it was better. When you go against tier 8s and 9s, you're going to wish it was better. This is not a ship that I would really feel like it has the potential to carry in a tier 8 or a tier 9 game, but let's be honest, what battleship at tier 7 really does feel that way? I mean, tier 8s and tier 9s are extremely powerful. But the enemy Belfast shows himself, either from a combination of the smoke dissipating or hydroacoustic. I don't know what. I don't care. I'm here to help the Fiji. We've got AP loaded. We do a little bit of damage. He gets a little nimbleness to dodge out of the way of most of the shells, but I don't intend to miss this time, Mr. Belfast. If he even lives to a stage where I could actually fire. But he does, and we get our shells off, and oh yeah. Oh yeah. See you later, Belfast. And this little kill squad's doing pretty good. It's still an extremely close game, so we're just going to move forward. And someone's like, hiding back there, huh, Notser? Oh no, there's no hiding here. We're just killing you. And on top of that, we're healing for a ton. I hope people really understand. The British will heal the most in the game. Period. If you don't kill them, they will mitigate and heal the most. Period. 1v1, they're gods. 1 versus 3, not so much. It stacks up very quickly. So the Warspite heal's great. And you get used to it very early and you keep it very late. Only turn 9 and 10 get that slightly different heal. But it honestly feels like it kind of feels like it's just not fair. You know, the amount of healing that you can do is pretty insane. I think our health dropped pretty low and then we were getting it back up. Our next heal charge is available. I know it's maxed out, so I'm going to take advantage of it while engaging this enemy. I've got HE loaded. I don't really need AP to hit the Pensacola. I just need shells on the target. HE is more than acceptable. I don't measure it by the most potential damage per salvo. I measure my successfulness with ammo. The fewest number of shells having to be sent downrange to kill the target. Now, clearly, when you get terrible RNG, it's a little frustrating. We basically straddled the target. But I'm not going to let that ruin my enjoyment of the ship. I'm just going to reload and fire again. This time, it does look like the guy is going to move back towards the circle, so I sort of led him in that direction, and it looks like we would have succeeded even if our friendlies didn't nick him. So I was very happy, very pleased with that shot. The ammo selection, yada yada yada, you get the idea. Enemy hood. This is the hood I think that we did damage to earlier, and he's still alive. I don't know how he's still alive, but he's still alive. So we've got to work him down. And I only have 1 heal charge left. Nothing is stored up, as you can see. So we might have to wait a little bit before we heal that one final time. But I have returned. There's not really a stat in the game that tells you how much you've returned, only how much damage you've sustained. And if obviously the damage is way above your total damage as a ship, you get the idea, right? Enemy Scharnhorst is trying to address me. He's showing a perfect broadside. I was going to go, ha! He's going to be punished hard with AP, so I decided to load the AP. I have considered using adrenaline rush on these ships too, because you're just always going to be up and down. You could always recover your health. Maybe you want to stay behind an island and fire a gun. I would be really interested to see how adrenaline rush works with the British battleships. It works great for the Germans. I love my adrenaline rush on my Germans, but they are a little bit more, what's the word, tanky. They can reduce the damage taken per shot much better than the Brits. I mean, this Scharnhorst, he had delusions of grandeur, I think. He wanted to get close enough that his secondaries could work and send torpedoes, and I was not falling for that. But you know what I am falling for? I'm firing AP. Switch to HE, damn it, and fire at the hood until he's dead. And I was like, it doesn't matter. We're gonna get this guy dead. No. The one shell that makes contact shatters. Really? It really shattered? Teammate, thankfully, was able to kill him, but he probably sustained too much damage, right? I could have been a better teammate. And I still have AP loaded, so I'm going to fire it at the Scharnhorst. We do 56, which is cool, but 2 of them overpin. Getting a little bit too high. We're hitting the superstructure. Superstructure's probably 16 millimeters. You gotta place the AP right. Unfortunately, the Scharnhorst has no interest in allowing me to do that. He's got good angling. And I should switch to HE and force him to, he's only going to fire HE. Let me show my side. And then obviously exploit the crap out of that. I'm like, you know what? Screw this. We're going HE. We're going full on. It's just one of those ships. Honestly, I almost feel like HE should be the default loadout and switch to AP when you know you got the broadside. When you know you got the broadside, you will absolutely wreck them. But when you know you don't have the broadside, your HE is just going to do more damage. It's just more effective. It sets fires. It forces out damage control. You get the idea. So I'm still have HE loaded. He is showing a perfect broadside now because he wants to finish off the friendly battleship, which he does. And he fires his others at me. So he's clearly aware of how to play the game, Notser. He's not some schmo. But thankfully, he doesn't have the gun caliber to overmatch my bow. The only other battleship at Tier 7 who doesn't. It's going to be very funny to see all of the King George ships playing against each other. And they're going to be like, damn it, I can't do anything to this guy. He's bow on. Yeah, it's a little awkward. But HE isn't awkward. And I switched to AP because he was broadside for that moment, but clearly he's not. AP was terrible in the moment, and I go back to HE, right? Predictable. Do as I say, not as I do. Expect the team and the enemy to play correctly, use HE. If you know he's playing bad, use AP, he'll show his broadside. Or if you can get an ambush flank, right? This guy, AP's just not going to work. Now his AP's missing. He's the only valid target for him is my superstructure. And he's just missing the position. But I recognize that he could hit me with his torpedoes. His secondaries are there. I don't want to die to his torpedoes. He would love to do that. And I'm really making it difficult. He has to address both me and the Fiji. HE does good damage. His AP only does 2,000. And the Fiji is successful in his torpedo. So that was a really great game. I felt like absolutely the King George did a wonderful job for me. 5 kills, 100,000 damage done, 11 fires. It's a very super heavy cruiser feel. You've got to use both ammo types, and you got to enjoy using both ammo types. Otherwise, you're going to be cynical with the ship. I have had a great time with it. I will absolutely be keeping the ship. I will be enjoying every minute of it. I hope that you guys enjoyed seeing the ship in full glory. The Scharnhorst did a good job on our team. The Fiji did a good job on our team. I was really pleased with my performance. Also my teammates' performance. It all worked together. I didn't have to address too many people. That is one of the issues with the British. I was able to exploit broadsides with AP. I was able to exploit HE scenarios. That's what you got to do. And the damage output basically mirrors it. The AP-HE damage is so close that it's really on the player's skill to recognize. Look at the damage we received, by the way. 170,000 damage. So I healed for a ton of damage. We still had probably 10,000 left on the ship. What, 5,000? So a lot of health can be healed. Every single British has the ability to come back and to be that force late in the game. 1v1 monsters. You got to overwhelm them if you have a chance. I hope you enjoyed this. I hope you have a fantastic day, and I'll catch you next time.